We've definitely got to the point with e-bikes where people are seeing them as a serious transport option to the motor vehicle, and there's been a uptick in interest in cargo bikes. You get two basic kinds of cargo bikes. You get the box bike or buck fits, which is the category this fits into, and then you get the long tail, where you've got a sort of a really long rear end and long carrier, and you can possibly fit two kid carriers or something there. These ones work a little bit unconventionally. You're sitting in the middle, but there's a sort of a strut that then turns the small front wheel when you turn your bars. So when you do that, and the wheel turns, there's some kind of gearing and geometry to make that feel right. But what is really quite unusual about this one, well, it's actually a couple of things that make it a bit special. The one is you can order it with two batteries, so you can see the two Bosch power packs, each 500 watt hours, so you've got 1,000 watt hours of grunt on a performance line CX motor, which again, this sort of bike needs that extra bit of torque to get you up hills, particularly when you've got a load in. You might have two kids in there, or you might have some deliveries that you're making. It also has suspension, front and rear, so it's got these little Sun Tour forks up front, so that the kids or the cargo gets some suspension. But then it also has this quite remarkable swing arm at the back, so it is fully suspended. So you're sitting here on a normal box bike, you're at the mercy of every bump and pothole in the road, but with this one you're just actually sitting there quite comfortably cruising along. It is really a quite surreal experience. Some of the other things that are notable on this bike is, one thing is the new Vinci hub, so that's sitting at the back there. It's continuously variable, which again on a bike like this is a wonderful thing, because when you're going up a hill or something, you really want exactly the right gearing. And the other thing about New Vinci is that the range is greater than most internal hubs and many derailleurs as well. So it's got really good range, infinitely variable. And the other thing that's great about it is when you are grinding up a hill and you feel the need to change gears, you don't suddenly lose power because the shift sensing has cut off, because it's continuously variable. It backs off very slightly, I think, but it's not even noticeable, and you don't lose some of your momentum. This bike is available in all sorts of configurations. This one has a child seat. Morris was telling me that this one has got a flat floor, but it is also available with a drop floor, so that kids will sit there and they'll put their feet in the footwell rather than extend them out in front of them, and that ends up being a much more comfortable option. It also is more versatile, because then you can still put some bags or something in the front there, and they don't have to either put their feet on top of them or have them on top of their feet. Comes with a rain cover, all sorts of cool configurations in this. You can fold this handlebars down so they can kind of go flat and lay against that bar as a quick release there, in case you need to slip it in under something, put it in a van or whatever. It's not the sort of thing you obviously want to put on the back of your car, because this is instead of a car. It's not a cheap bike. It's depending on what you spec in it, obviously two batteries is adding to cost, but it adds to its utility and versatility. So you're looking in the mid-teens on this bike. You are paying for some quality. You can get a cargo bike for sort of $7,000, but this at twice the price is a much nicer beast. It's a wonderful ride. It's going to last many years. There's not a lot to say about that, but in terms of riding one, if you've ever been curious about cargo bikes, do take one for a ride. This one handles really nicely. It does take a bit of getting used to, of course, because the front wheel is right at the front, quite a long way ahead of you, so it is slower to react than what you might be used to in a bike. But within minutes, you'll feel entirely comfortable. again, on this particular one, because of its suspension, you don't feel buffeted around. It feels quite natural and normal. And I think anyone who does have an intention of replacing a car with a bike should seriously look at this Riese Müller. If you are cargo curious, I'll let you ride along with me for a little while. I'm at Eden Park in the car park. It's a great place actually to ride, and just to practice if that's what you want. I'm going to give this to you warts and all. I'm riding one-handed, so I might wobble a bit more than normal, but I just wanted to give you part of the feel. So if you excuse me, I might just need two hands when I start off. There is a bit of a delay on this on the motor. It's one of the things with the Bosch motor. There's a slight delay. You may not normally notice it, but when you're on this, you certainly do. Some of the motors have a kind of a 0 RPM power on, whereas the Bosch does delay slightly. But as I'm riding one-handed on the car park there, I'll do a bit of weaving around. You see, it's all feels quite sort of normal, really. I had it going 45 km/h down a hill. Obviously that's not powered, because it stops at 32. I think this one might even be 25. But it's not the sort of thing that's really important. The thing is that you can go up hills. Actually, is more important than speed on a bike like this, and in fact handling is really, really important. Riding around Eden Park, it's interesting, lots of statues and bollards and things to try and avoid. Remember, I'm riding one-handed, so you have to say, well, actually this is pretty good for effectively my first time on this bike.